The day is the 1st of July 2023. We have already moved past half of this year. Today, this morning, I am Derek Wandera for News 24/7, going to be hosting the Viewpoint for you. And today's panel is very, very exciting, and so is the topic. We shall be talking about DNA. And the topic is DNA, what are the undertones and what are the troubles? In my studio today, and those that will be joining us online, are very experienced people in this country, people who bear and walk with their collars up for whatever they have achieved in this country. On my extreme right is Job Richard Matua, an NRM vice chairperson aspirant, and he is a former biology teacher and an anti-corruption crusader. When I speak about former biology teacher, when we are going to talk about DNA, then you exactly know what we are going to be discussing. Is going to be very, very technical. On my left is the Honorable Christine Nachimwero Kaya. She is the woman MP of Chiboga, and she is a woman who has been known in the leadership spaces and wears a lot of respect from the public for being and standing for women rights. Very recently, I know she's one of those that were arrested from Parliament when they were protesting against Women Matters. Also online, who is going to be joining us is a journalist, BBS Terrefiners, Miss Carlton Scovian Nakamia. She's also going to be joining us in studio shortly, but she is currently online. And then a counselor is also going to be joining us, Evelyn, who is a counselor by profession, and we hope to have this conversation very, very exciting. I want to begin and roll this ball, and I want to begin with with Mr. Matua to try to help us understand from the biology perspective what this whole conundrum of DNA means. And just to give you a recap and a synopsis about DNA and how we arrived to discuss this very fundamental matter is that 2 weeks ago, News 24/7 broke a story where we found out from sources within the internal ministry, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, that week about 60 people had gone complaining about the DNAs, not just complaining, but to go and test the DNA of their children. And out of the 60, only 2 people passed the cut. Only 2 people had their children belonging to them out of 60. And this number has kept growing over time. And you know that this information has been awash on all social media platforms and mainstream media houses. And that's why we want to ask ourselves, what are the troubles, who is to blame, and where are the undertones? We want to begin with Mr. Matua to just help us understand what this DNA means from the biology perspective.
Thank you very much, my brother Derek Wandera.
Yes.
Good morning, Honorable Member of Parliament with us here. And good morning, everybody who's watching us online and on YouTube. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me for this important discussion. To put the matter into context, I need to first make our people understand what DNA is about.
Exactly.
I want to be very, very simplistic so that that very ordinary person who has not even reached the secondary or advanced level should be able to understand me. You know, a human body is made up of smaller parts called the cells.
Yes.
That's the first thing I want to know. So the big me, the big you, Derek, and everybody, you are nothing but a collection of those small parts called the cells. You get the point?
Yes.
So every living thing is nothing but a collection of cells. They even living things which are made up of one cell.
Yes.
Can you imagine one cell?
Yes.
Is living, is reproducing, is eating, is excreting, is surviving. Now, in that cell, there are two acids in our human body cell. There are two acids. We call them nucleic acids. Nucleic acids. Acids of the nucleus. The nucleic acids. For this purpose, I want to tell our viewers and our listeners that nucleic acids are acids of life. In human body cell, in the nucleus of the human body cell, we have two nucleic acids, acids of nucleus. One is DNA. In full, it is called deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Then we have another acid called RNA, ribonucleic acid. So DNA and RNA are both acids of the nucleus. Nucleus is found where? In the body cell. The body cell are found where? In the body. So now, what is the need for DNA in the body? You see, information about you, about me, about any living thing, the exact copy of the information about you is stored in the DNA. So DNA is a store of your information, of you, Derek. Everything about you, the shape of your head, the eye, every body part, every information about you is kept. The store of the information is in the DNA. So everybody has a store of the information about you in the DNA. So the DNA is actually a store of information about a living thing. Now, so DNA is very, very important because the molecules, the substances that control growth, body functioning, what we call physiology. So these like enzymes, they're like hormones. These things are manufactured with instruction, with information copied from DNA. So the DNA directs the type of enzymes, the type of proteins that are supposed to be manufactured. Remember, these things are very important in the control of growth, reproduction. I think that. So therefore, DNA is very, very important. Going forward to the field where we are now, DNA is important for inheritance. What do I mean? My children will then have to get copies of the information about me that will be passed to them through the DNA. Therefore, it is very important that my biological children must resemble me in terms of genetic information to a certain degree, but it is not 100%. This is one thing I want to tell. Because there are two people who are contributing to the child.
Yes.
The mother and the father. So the relationship is not 100%. Now, DNA being important for inheritance, therefore, is very, very important in social life to test fidelity in people. Now I'm delving to the social aspect of it. Fidelity. Long ago, our grandparents used to have their own way of determining paternity. In Buganda here, they would dry part of the umbilical cord of the child, cut from the umbilical cord during the time of delivery. That part of umbilical cord which falls off from the child. Then they would put water, and they would put the umbilical cord in water, and check whether it sinks or it floats.
Yes.
You get the point? When it floats, then the child is yours. When the umbilical cord sinks, then the child belongs to the neighbor. So even the traditional African had their way of determining whether you are a child to somebody or not. Then science has improved it for us. Advancement in science and technology using the DNA now has made it cheaper to now find out true paternity of a child. So therefore, my first request is for the people of Uganda to embrace DNA. In fact, DNA today is not only even important for the paternity. You say I have put my hand here. This my brother Derek, this hand I have put here.
Yes.
Even after 1 year, you can come and extract my DNA from here. So DNA can be used for security purposes to arrest the criminals. You get me?
That's true.
Yes, it can be used for paternity purpose to arrest criminals. But restricting ourselves to the use of DNA in a paternity, I want to ask Ugandans that please let us impress this thing. Everybody would want to know the biological child or biological children. Yes, I think it is of benefit for people to know their children, the biological children. And in case the man is impotent, that man can even be assisted to get the children using in vitro fertilization. Countrymen and women, I want to inform you that we have Mulago Women Specialized Hospital.
Yes.
In that hospital, we can do a DNA. No, we can do fertilization of sperm cells and the ovum in a test tube, and after formation of the fetus, this fetus can be implanted into the womb of a woman to produce a child. If the man is impotent, maybe does not the third leg does not stand up, doctors can still extract the semen, sperm cells from the testicles of this man, then undergo test tube fertilization or do artificial insemination. That person can still even bear children. You get me? So it is very important to do DNA. Then number two, we are living in a very hard economic time. People, do a lot, suffer a lot to look for resources to educate children, to upbring children. So it would be of benefit for people to know the paternity of their children. They should know whether this is my child or not. Yes, I am aware that this can even cause social problem like breaking of family. But is the breakage of family more important than knowing whether this child is yours or not? Before I could give you the mic to you, let us take this example. A man whose case was told to us by the spokesperson of Ministry of Internal Affairs, Immigration, Mr. Munday Samusi. Here is a man, he has 6 children. He lives in UK, he has been visiting the wife here in Uganda. This man has 6 children, and he has been educating them international school. He had processed passport for them. Then one day they developed a misunderstanding, and then the woman thought she was hurting the man by saying even some of these children are not yours. Then the man ran for DNA testing. Guess what? All of the 6 children, the results came negative. None of them was his child.
Wow.
The man said this is wrong. He took samples to South Africa and samples to another samples to Canada. All results came, they were negative. So the man had to go to immigration to expunge the details of the children he had put there in his name, so that he relieves himself of that responsibility. So my appeal to my sisters out there, I know we are living in a sexually immoral world. Please, even when you don't know the father of a child, it is good to determine the father of the true father of the child, so that you give the child to the right person, to the right owner. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matua, and I like the zeal and energy with which you speak and espouse your issues. Thanks for laying for us the bed, especially from the scientific point of view, and just trying to help us understand what exactly DNA is and what it means. I want to cross to the Honorable. Honorable, you hear what is going on the social media, on all media platforms, including mainstream media. It looks like, for me, there has been a debate of whether this is a fight between women and men. Where does the problem begin from? But from your understanding, what do you think is the real problem? And what do you think needs to be done?
No, I greet you all, dear listeners and viewers. Once again, Kaya Christina Shimoiro, Chiboga District Woman MP, but also the Shadow Minister for Water and Environment.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I think this is my first time here, but also nice to meet Mr. Matua.
Yes.
Yes.
I last saw him in Parliament when he whistle blew the NSSF saga.
Yes.
So I don't doubt his potential in joining those who fight corruption. We are very grateful, and I think he's wrongly placed.
It should be the other side.
Yes, from what the way he behaved, the way he conducted himself, he's better placed to he's better placed to exercise that character. In, for example, National Unity Platform, where I come from. And I also take this opportunity to wish all listeners a very wonderful month of July.
Yes.
I also greet my president, Chagulanyi Robert Sentamu. But I also greet Chiboga people for entrusting me. I personally am a professional, I'm an environmentalist.
Okay.
But within the course of executing that profession, I also went ahead to do a number of professional courses in gender mainstreaming. And we have been using a lot of participatory methods to ensure that our advocacy initiatives, policies are gender sensitive. And so this DNA saga is no longer a medical issue to me. What I see, it is becoming a social issue. And so we would like to, first of all, remind our public that the way we have been calling on you to do mandatory tests, to check on your lives, to check on your health, even when nothing is paining you, we are still calling on you to do DNA tests. You need to know.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you need to know the genes that make up who you are. As a person, you should know. And then you also use this test to confirm which diseases you may have. You also need to take these tests for determining the risks of developing certain conditions, health-wise. You need to have this. And then you also need to know the specific mutated genes that you hold in your body. For example, we may all belong to the same father.
Yes.
But it would be also very important for the father to identify which kid holds more of his genes.
Yeah.
Especially when you love and trust your character.
Yes.
For example, if I love mathematics so much, and it is mathematics that has put me somewhere, and it is mathematics that made me become an engineer, you know, you would like among your 60 children to identify which exact child would be able to carry on this gene. Because not all the children would have carry the same. So we have always used social behaviors, for example, to select successors or heirs. You see, this is a kid who welcomes the visitors. This is a kid who shares with others. This is a kid who takes long to get annoyed. So this should be my heir. So we have been using signs, social signs, and social characters, and less on healthy signs and characters. And so I think we are transiting from local to local. You see? Yeah. Sometime back, somebody was like, we have reached certain stage in economic development, and to us, they indicate those who came up with the criteria of becoming a second a developed country or middle income status country. They came up with the criteria and indicators. They have told you are not yet there.
Yes.
And you still insist, no, for us we are there. You, why don't you announce that we are there? How about you? When you are talking, why don't you announce that you are there? So the same applies to this DNA. It is very important to do it. So I would, to the listeners, especially the people I represent from Chiboga. Chiboga is a rural district. This is news to our people, but we are coming from local to local. because we are not yet somewhere.
Yeah.
So this is a technology advancement, but health advancement as well. And we are hearing of certain, advancements in the DNA testing. Today morning, I heard of bringing in self-testing, DNA self-testing, the way we test pregnancies in homes. So they have brought that technology, but hope they will not steal our people. hope they will be genuine. That is the genuine technology.
Yeah.
Because when you look at how you are supposed to prepare yourself as you are going for the DNA test, I don't know if people will observe, but you're supposed to, for example, count 30 minutes after brushing your teeth, for example. So we don't know at home if people will really observe some of these things. You may measure with saliva that is faulty. We have already started getting testimonies. Some friend of ours they tested their child thrice here in Uganda, and it was testing negative. And then when they went to another country, it tested positive. So there is a lot, of challenges in this.
Yes, Honorable.
But what I want to emphasize is that DNA testing is important. It is important. Now, the time has come. You see, you may sin. The time has to come. Nobody has a remedy to rotting. All of us have to die and rot. When you think about it while alive, you may think it is not possible. But nobody has a solution for that. All of us have to die and rot. So, whatever you do, every action must have a what? A reaction. There must be a reaction to every action. So, I am very concerned about looking at why. Why is it that there are more cases of children that don't belong to the fathers? Why is that coming up?
And why now?
And why now is because of the technology advancement. And certain levels of development. I told you we are coming from local to
local. Yes.
So we are not yet advanced. So because of that is why we say even if Mr. Museveni is not the president, Uganda has to develop, whether he's there or not. We cannot belong to Stone Age in 1700 and be the same in 2000. Automatically there is a development. So we are measuring the rate of what? The rate of development for the different sectors. We measure the rate, but the development must be there. But our concern is the rate, the speed. I think we are developing at a slow speed. So we are saying earlier, before the DNA saga, there was another report concerning increased HIV prevalence within the marrieds. I think you heard about it.
Yes.
It also took some of our time in discussions, and so we were like, unfaithfulness in marriage is increasing.
Yes.
So after HIV, now DNA, we are finding out that very many children don't belong to the same father.
Yes.
Actually, now the terming is changing. Sometime back, a father would have many children from different women, but now one child has more than one father. So it is the change. So one child can have more than one father instead of a father having many children from different women.
Yes.
So it is changing.
It is. But Honorable, and again, before I cross to Honorable Matua, I wanted to ask you a question. Who takes the blame in this whole big saga?
That is exactly what I was coming to. Who takes the blame? I was telling you, unfaithful in marriage is increasing this saga. So what causes the unfaithfulness? I think now you can see, first of all, there are a lot of health challenges. I'll give one example. You get married, and then your husband does not function. You see, the economic challenges in Uganda are taking precedence.
Yeah.
You can imagine people wake up in the morning and they're like, I didn't sleep. I slept. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was thinking about how I'm going to treat this sick person in my home. The whole night I kept on thinking how I'm going to offset the school fees. How I'm going to. So there is no guns are not. The gun. Okay, the killing with guns is limited. We are not in a war as Uganda, but still people are not sleeping. People are just resting in their beds in the night.
Yes.
And they are not sleeping. Why? Because of the economic situation. You are thinking about the loans you have, and what you borrowed for has not taken course, but the lender is waiting for his or her money, and now you are thinking of how you're going to repay the loan. And so the economic challenges and threats make people fail to sleep and also make people impotent. Don't you see that the adverts for, we call them batteries, attendants to batteries, male batteries. Don't you see the adverts are becoming many these days?
Yeah.
You switch on every TV, I'm so and so, Senga so and so, I sell this, please. Mine is what? And a lot of drinks. Bukama na Yamba, what? There are very many names here. So Kavalura, what? And in Uganda it is becoming kombucha. So there are a lot of them, and because of the challenge of men, so the batteries are getting, I don't know, worn out or spoiled or what, and then they don't function. And when they don't function, just imagine you got married and they don't function. I fear to shame you in public that this one doesn't. I fear to run away because obviously people ask, where did you go away? So what I do, I remain in the marriage and find my way out. Yes.
Very hard truth there.
Yes, that is the truth. I cannot stay there without children. And your people are the ones who even over demand. What are you waiting for? That is a long period of time. You even fear to tell them that it is your own who doesn't function. Because of the cultural setup, we are, as women, we are not encouraged to do what? To say out issues. So sometimes you tend to think that the people know the husband you have. But in most cases, they don't know. Those are inner things.
Yes.
So what you do, you fear to shame him. So you find out ways of offsetting such a challenge.
Honorable, I want us to go for a quick commercial break, and when we return, you will pick up that point, and then I will cross
Before we
over
go to the commercial break,
yes,
I would like to thank Honorable Woman Member of Parliament for Chiboga. You see, very few women are very honest like you.
No, but that's why she is a leader.
In fact, some women, including those who are highly educated, are hell bent to defend fellow women in this
we need to understand the cause. When you understand the cause, you appreciate why this situation is coming.
They are not being objective to understand the cause and why we are going there. Matua, let's first go for the commercial break, then we shall bring it up. The Viewpoint returns in just a few minutes after these they call them making money. We try to make money. Thank you very much. We shall return shortly. Welcome back from that quick commercial break. We're still on the Viewpoint. With me in studio is the Honorable Woman Member of Parliament, Miss Christine Nachimwero Kaya, and Mr. Matua. We are going to be joined by another guest, a counselor, a marriage expert. She's called Evelyn, and when she comes here, I'll be giving you people the full detail of her profession. I also thank all the people who are joining in on our Twitter Spaces. I see you are there in your droves. Those who would like to contribute to this this very good conversation, please just request for a microphone, and at a certain time T, we shall give you the mic, the chance to speak. But also, I can see there are people who are already sending in quite a number of comments that we shall be reading to our viewers who are also listening to us on the other side of the YouTube. I know the YouTube channel is also buzzing with quite many comments there. This is really a hot topic that we need to try to understand, dismantle, and help our people understand what exactly is underlying this very, very tricky thing. I wanted to give the Honorable 2 minutes to just complete her comment before I cross over to Mr. Matua. Honorable, you're telling us about what exactly are the causes, and who is to blame.
Yeah, it is very important to understand the causes. That is when you will appreciate the challenge. So the regime in which we are,
yes,
which Mr. Matua is
serving Matua's regime.
Yeah, it has brought a lot of stress
yes,
to our people, and so the people are devising a lot of means. They are losing their reproductive functions because of their poor regime. People are thinking of what to do, and then because of that, many women, many men are looking out for options, options that we have never thought about, options, new options, which sometimes require them to leave their homes for certain periods, and yet those are some of the things that are not taught to our kids, some of the kids. Yeah, when a woman is going to get a job, the relationship, how do you prepare yourself now that you will be leaving home at 7 a.m. and be coming home at 6 p.m.? How are you going to conduct yourself? How is your safety? When you find, on your way, when you find more handsome men than the one you have, what do you do?
Yes.
If you find men with money and they approach you, what do you do? So those are the relationship issues that are not taught in professional courses. And so you find that some of our women are not empowered as they have to toil because our parents didn't pay school fees for us to sit at home and begin dressing your socks and also begin, making juice salon. No, they also had the other economic contribution to our livelihoods and also to our families.
Honorable, so, there's a point you talked about, the batteries. More batteries are getting dysfunctional, and also I wanted to understand, because there are cases where someone, it's not necessarily about batteries sometimes, and you find that someone has 6 children, 2 of them are from out, and then the other 4 are from within. Is it a moral issue? Is it just that more women are getting immoral or unfaithful in marriage now, or what could be the problem?
That is why I'm emphasizing the causes. Leave alone the batteries. There are some men who are okay, they are very okay, but some time back there was this other mentality of a man is free to marry whoever he wants. Actually, currently, you will be ashamed if you're a woman and you separate with your spouse because I found my spouse cheating on me. Those are no longer excuses in Uganda. You can no longer separate or divorce giving those reasons. Because socially, you will be laughed at. So many women have decided to suffer. So that other, liberty for men to go out the way they want, without minding about some other women. You find that you have your married wife, and then you keep rotating among 8 women. Obviously, you will not have time for me. The tender loving care time will be very limited for me in a week, in a month. So, but remember, when you are absent away from me, don't think that my sexual desires reduce. No, for them, they're standard. They will always exist. So for you keep rotating around. By the time you come back, I may also have been tempted to do otherwise. So our women have been faithful because culturally we have been trained to be faithful. But the conditions, because you have higher sexual libidos, so you have to move around. But this care that women need is standard.
Absolutely.
And so you find that many women are finding solutions to that. So when you keep rotating within that period, many women will also get some, yeah.
I know. We are joined by Carlton Scovia Nakamia online, and I want to give you a mic to speak about this very fundamental topic. And if you can hear me, Carlton, just unmute. And when you unmute, I would like you to help us understand from the journalistic point of view. Is this story being told fairly? Is it a balanced story? Because so far, we have seen so many men going for DNA and this actually throws women under the bus, technically, that women are becoming unfaithful every day. I would like to understand whether journalism has done its best for this particular incident, but also what do you think are the underlying causes? Yes, Carlton. For this particular incident.
I don't know if I'm being heard. Derek, can you hear me?
Yes, you can be heard loud and clear. Please just proceed and make your submission.
Derek, can you hear me?
Wow, okay.
I don't know if I'm being heard. Derek, can you hear me?
Yes, you can be heard loud and clear. Should be putting right.
But also, of course, it has taken of accusations here and there, adultery here and there. But I want to speak with the traditional mind. Back in the days, our forefathers and our grannies used to have what we call a chitaulusi. I'm speaking from a Buganda culture because that is what I subscribe to. I'm a Buganda. Our parents, our grandparents used to have a chitaulusi for every child. That is why my mother, my father were not required to give me a surname. They only give me a first name. They take me in the first 5 days. In the first 5 days, I have to be at the grandparents' home to give you the surname or the clan name. What many of us don't know now is that that traditional name would not come out of the blue. Our parents, our grandparents used to have reasons why they give you that surname. For example, my confirm that you belong to that particular clan. These rituals is not witchcraft. It is not witchcraft, but they used to have rituals they do to confirm the paternity of the kid. And it used to prove them, it used to give correct results. And if you still doubt this, please, you need to ask anybody above 80 years or even 60 years. Somebody can relate to this story. They would do those rituals. That is the traditional DNA. And if that child does not, if that ritual does not come out correctly, they would simply ask the mother that, you know what, we want this marriage to stay, but please take this child to the right owner, to the father. Depending on so many issues, our forefathers used to raise children even after knowing they do not belong to that particular clan. What we see now are just people hyping the DNA thing, and journalism is not doing enough to put things to order. First of all, who is benefiting from this DNA fracas? Who is the primary beneficiary? Can't government put a restriction if these things, if this DNA fracas wants to break families, want to break, bonds built for years, people going to the immigration to cancel passports of their children that DNA proved paternity issues, who is the primary beneficiary? Are laboratories behind this? Is it that they want to make lots of money now because DNA is becoming cheap? The last time I knew it was about 500,000. But who is benefiting? Even how do you start to create a campaign that, you know what, test your children, test your children? Can't we only focus on building that family, concentrating on what God has given you? Or we want to go and test here and there? Okay, what if you go and test and also you do not belong to that clan you think you belong to? Because your father did not, your parents did not go through that traditional DNA ritual. What if I belong to the wrong clan? For me, I went through that ritual because besides being from a traditional family, I'm a twin. I follow twins. We have what we call Okwarula Balongo. Those rituals must be performed. It proves paternity. So what if your father does not belong to the right clan? Are you also going to take your father test for DNA? So just like you can't take your father to test for DNA, we have to be extra careful before jumping on this bandwagon. People are going to break psychologically because unfaithfulness has been here for years. But analyzing unfaithfulness in families requires a case-by-case basis. We cannot entirely say women are unfaithful. We cannot entirely say if men can have extramarital affairs, they get children and then they bring them to the family for the woman to raise. Why can't a woman do it? No. In the Bible, Abraham had so many women. We do not see any of the women in the Bible having extramarital affairs or having so many men and raising children out of the wedlock. So we can't. There are certain things where we cannot do what men do because it is going to break us. So with this DNA thing, as I finalize, Derek.
Yes, please.
We have to be extra careful. But analyzing this DNA, you cannot find a unifying cause. It requires a case-by-case basis. That is why you see families of the rich, families of the poor, families of the struggling, families of the corporate, families of the know-it-all, of the have-it-all. Every family, every category you can speak about is a victim. So we cannot say poverty, we cannot say brought. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you very much, Carlton. Carlton is speaking to us live on our Twitter Spaces and YouTube of News 24/7, and my panel is fully constituted now. With as I'm joined by Evelyn Connie Carono, who is Evelyn Connie Carono is a counseling psychologist from Makerere University, and all she is going to help us understand is how this whole entire DNA could affect your family, and what would a person like the counselors, what would the counselor help to redeem in such situations. But before I go to her, I wanted to ask Matua. Men's batteries, one of the causes of this extramarital, children, and how do you think the coming up of this DNA has had a lot to do with dysfunctioning fathers?
Oh, thank you very much. I would like to welcome my sister, Madam Evelyn. My name is Matua Job Richard, and with me is Honorable Member of Parliament, Ochivoga, our sister, Madam Christine.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that question. I would like to respond to it. First of all, I want to agree with my sister, Honorable, that it is true.
Yes.
A good number of men, due to stress factors induced by economic issues and what have you,
By your regime.
are not necessarily by my regime. Because sometimes it can be like now we have issues caused by war in Russia and the Ukraine.
Many
So
people
that
have
is
been
the
So 5% contribution.
so the war in Russia has contributed to the DNA problems that we have
I'm
right
saying,
now.
it has contributed to economic issues in Uganda.
I don't think
increase
so.
in the cost of fuel, which increases the other factor, the cost of other factors. So what I want to say is it is very true. A good number of men are very stressed. Have you seen that? So they could not be functioning well in their various beds. That could also be a case.
Yes.
Then we have the issue of what I want to term as absentee husbands. You can see majority of the people who have gone for the DNA test are visiting husbands. Somebody staying in Abu Dhabi, the wife is here. You only come once in a while to visit the wife. But what you forget is that the wife's biological needs are constant. I think that in your absence, she must fulfill them. So as a result, a good neighbor may be the one doing that service.
Yes, a good neighbor, an understanding neighbor.
A good neighbor may be the one doing that service. Now, what has been helping us locally here is that the woman will still give the children to you. You get me? You know, especially when they are boys, they tend to resemble more their mother.
Yeah.
It will be very, very difficult for you to know from the onset.
Yes.
Except if it is to extreme that this boy picks the character of the good neighbor,
the good neighbor.
The physical appearance. That's when you can really raise some question. So that's one key issue. And then we have also increase in cases of impotence. We are beginning to register increase in cases of impotence, which research need to tell us why it is happening like that. Could it be the use of diapers on our boy child? Previously, how our elders handling the issue of boy child? These are things we have to look into as well. Then, about the issue my sister, the journalist raised.
Yes.
Madam Journalist, I want to request you that if you knew that the traditional Baganda used to have their own way of determining whether that child belongs to their clan or not.
Yes.
And then you took it to be the traditional way of doing a DNA. Why should you reject the one of today? Her question of who is benefiting from this is a genuine question, but it does not override the need for people to know the children they have.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes, of course, somebody has taken advantage of the infidelity of people to make money. Is that a problem? Then it's actually the person, by making money, is helping us to correct immorality in society. I said that. So by introducing the concept of DNA, people are going to be so careful that you don't get cross-pollinated
Yes.
You get me? So cross-pollination will become a challenge. You do that, then the DNA will arrest you. So it is very true. My sister, who is is it online?
Yes.
The journalist.
Yes.
It is very
Carlton, Scovey, and Nakami.
it is very true that this thing is going to cause some social problem because people are going to become emotional. Eh? You see, you are being taken care of 5 children that you claim are yours, educating them, feeding them, dressing them, for you to come to discover that they are not your children. Really, some people may lose their mind, may lose their head, and really run out of option and become very violent.
Yes.
So that is when we need now my sister counselors to come in to arbitrate.
Okay.
To arbitrate.
Yes.
I thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. My panel is still well constituted. Carlton, Scovey, and Nakamia, who is joining us from online on Twitter Spaces. She is also trying to make it to studio. I have the Honorable Christine Nachimwero Kaya, from who is a woman member of Parliament of Chiboga. I have Job Richard Matua, who is an NRM national vice chairman to be. He is also a former biology teacher, so he's a scientist by profession, and he's an anti-corruption crusader. We are also joined by a counselor, a professional counselor, a marriage expert, and a person who understands psychology more than we can ever imagine. Miss Evelyn Connie Carono, who is joining us right here. I want to give it to you, Evelyn. This whole impasse of DNA is certainly going to break very many marriages.
Sure.
How do the counselors come in? Where are they coming in? And what are the conversations you're holding with such families? You can speak to the microphone.
Okay. Thank you so much, Derek, for bringing up such a topic. As counselors, actually, I'm a member of the Uganda Counseling Association, and someone had sent us a very long message pertaining DNA issues and how it's bringing mental health issues and emotional problems to families. Actually, we're just planning to say, how do we start? How do we come in? Because this is something that is new in Africa. Recently, when DNA started, it was like something which was far-fetched. It was very expensive. It wasn't affordable. But currently, every Tom and Dick can go and do a DNA. It's no longer expensive. You can get it anywhere you want. You can do it anytime. And as counselors, we know that, yes, people have a right to find out the, paternity, finding out if this is my child or not. It has advantages, but it can have disadvantages. However, I know that just like doing an HIV test, someone can have a lot of anxiety. But when they first speak to a counselor who is non-judgmental, one, the counselor will help you to give you a roadmap, to look through your life and say, okay, are you sure? What do you think? Do you know anything that could lead you to get HIV? So that even when the results are positive, yes, you might be hurt, but not going to extremes, just like the DNA test. If you first done we would request that if people can first do DNA counseling, so that a person is exposed. As a counselor, I've worked on 2 people already, some 2 years ago, who had negative tests, and one of them had depression. But when we were speaking and I exposed him to his earlier life, I asked him that, did you suspect anything that you could be having a problem? Have you ever sat down and thought? And he was like, yeah, if I look through my life, it is true. I think I was not able to have children because as a young man, up to about 30 years, I felt I've never pregnanted any woman, and now he's in his 50s, and 2 children emerged from 2 different women, So, and then he did a DNA test. Of course, this brought a lot of stress to him. But if you've gone through the roadmap, looked through your life, seen, are there any things that could bring any suspicion, anything that you'd love to know, it is much better than when you just walk into a DNA place. Some men actually, they just steal the children, They just wait when the woman has gone to work. She doesn't know anything. They pick their children, maybe 6 children, take all of them for DNA test. They come back with the results. They are dying. We know the cases because we work with these people. And then they say, I've done tests and all my children are not mine. You know, all the 6 children are not mine. I only have 1. But then you say, what do you want to do? I have not told her. Don't you think such a person can wake up if they have the gun out of anger? They would do something that they never wanted to do. So I think the DNA testing has no, we do not have, what can I say? I almost talked about policies. I said maybe if we had policies around it, people should do a DNA at this stage when the child is this young. You know, the people should do these things early before things go out of hand. Maybe when the woman is still pregnant, if possible. Maybe that can be catered for. But a 19-year-old is told that, you know what, this is not your father. You're creating 2 problems. Mental health for the child, you know, identity crisis, mental health for the man, the mental health issues for the woman. I don't know what we are going to be in the next 10 years if DNA is going to continue being done the way it's being done right now.
Thank you, Evelyn. Evelyn is giving
to give a personal experience.
First, hold on a minute. Just Evelyn is giving very fundamental issues, and our followers online. Before Job just gives that piece of information from his experience, giving quite varied comments. Others are in support. Others, and there is a very hot debate. Someone says. And that's just Fakula, who is saying, I support DNA. Women have proven evil, even to the worst circumstance that the man is staying with her happily. Still, they take advantage of the smallest minute to count the gap and hit their target. And someone was quite disapproving what Honorable was saying. Why are you looking for only dysfunction of the man? You mean there are no anything to look at? Because this manhood thing is both sides. I think Honorable was very, very balanced when she was giving that comment, and she gave other reasons. So I protect my panelist and say she has ably substantiated that matter. It is true people hate the truth, and reality is let's keep in a main thing as the main thing. Pwegamba he's saying, Tova main. Let's go for DNA. Job, you said you have a personal experience.
Yeah,
that
I
we would
want
like
to
to
give
hear
something for the benefits of our panelists here,
Yes.
and also our viewers and listeners. In fact, before I got married, I told my lover by then that all our children, we shall subject them for DNA test. You know, using my background of being a biology teacher.
Yes.
So I explained to her why I wanted to do so. Because I said, I teach this concept for my students in class. If it doesn't apply to me, what is the relevance of me telling them? So by doing so, I controlled the would-be infidelity of my wife.
She's always expecting
And that's why all my children, they resemble me. In fact, I was about to come here with the boy. It's exactly look alike. Exactly look alike. So that is one. 2, there is something which Madam Councillor raised here. So, you see, it is illegal. It is illegal to take the children for DNA test without the consent of the other parent. In fact, that parent can sue, and the laboratory, including the person who took them, can be in trouble.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is illegal. In fact, if you want to take your children for DNA test, even if you have suspected that the woman has produced children outside marriage, then involve her. She must be part of that thing. She must consent. Without consent,
will she consent? Really,
it is illegal. If she doesn't consent, if she doesn't consent, then you can seek court order to compel her to carry out the DNA test to verify your doubt. So therefore, yes, this thing is going to cause problem in society. My request to the councillor is to come up to educate the public that, you know, we also have to end the issue of immorality. I think we are better off in morally upright society than the immoral one.
Yes.
And also, every child would want to know the true parent. Thank you very much.
Honorable,
Yes.
I think Councillor Evelyn was trying to touch the matter of policy and what needs to be done. The fundamentals need to be adhered to, I think. And my question, you are the lawmakers. What do you think are the missing gaps? And do you foresee a private member's bill coming up to just bring in this whole matter of trying to help parents solve this conundrum by going for DNA on the first day, for instance? I think there is a law that allows for testing for DNA on the first day when you give birth to your child, but this has never been put in place, and we are asking. Do you foresee something like that for because of this problem that's around? Maybe an amendment, maybe trying to see how it can be enforced.
I wanted to highlight that the country is very poor. The country, Uganda, is very poor. And we are trying to minimize expenses wherever possible. When I look at the expense of carrying out a DNA, I think it is between 300 to 500, isn't it, Kasa?
Yes.
So, when we make it mandatory, it means now, as a government, we have to incorporate that expense in the maternal provisions.
Yes.
Already we are aware, many of the people, it is difficult for, by the way, I have not seen even an example for anybody giving birth and leaves the hospital without incurring any cost. That one is not anywhere in Uganda. So meaning, if we want, it is very appropriate and very good to have it at birth.
Yes.
But now it will be calling on government to do what? To incorporate that extra expense. And remember, we are very poor. So at the moment, it may be very difficult, especially if we are to look at the, establishing the technologies at all health centers there is. Because at the moment, even in our villages, we rarely see people now giving birth at health center tools. So all health centers there is, at the maternal wards, we should have the technology. And why all this? We need to call back our morals. Dear men and women. Somebody was saying that I'm only complaining about men. We're trying to find out the causes to this. All of us need to check ourselves. Just get to know if you're a married person and you become a visiting husband. We have what we call visiting lecturers. Or we have visiting teachers. You know what they are.
Yes.
They are coming for their subjects. Immediately the subject is finished, somebody goes away. He's going to other schools. The same applies to the visiting lecturers. So if husbands, you have decided to make yourselves visiting husbands, you know there must be a consequence to every action. There will be a reaction. I personally don't support women to go in extramarital or adultery, but certain conditions, we all didn't grow in the same category. So some of us may stand and withstand, others will not withstand. It is like, you see, prostitution. We do not encourage it at all. We sometimes even don't want to practice it. But there are people who decide to go for it. But it is difficult to find her or me saying that hang that prostitute.
No.
It is not easy.
You first need to listen to what the reasons
No, even when you listen to the reasons, the action is not good, but still you cannot stand, put your hand there to say, please, hang that prostitute.
Honorable, it's becoming like it's a necessary evil to have
So
kids.
what Carlton Scovia was saying somehow is right. Every case has its own causes.
Yes.
Most of the cases have their own causes. You get it?
Yes.
Now look at this other issue of discordancy, HIV discordancy.
Yes.
They don't encourage you to give birth, but you're already married. So how will you then get kids? So what happens? The woman finds her way, the man finds her way. And sometimes even the marrieds agree on this extramarital. There is one man who reported the wife that I found your wife with so and so. And then when the woman came back, the husband was like, but I told you, if you are doing it, try to do it secretly.
You're doing
How
it
come this one came to see you? I identified you. So some married people, you had even the other rich guy.
Yes.
Was like the first one, we agreed. I think they were looking for wealth from some African chemist. That one we agreed. Then others, that I went to Namugogo, what. That is also another issue. I told you many women are not oriented in this other business. When you are let out, you are allowed to go and work. From 7, you are leaving home and you're coming back in the night. How do you relate during the day? Many women are not oriented in that. They just face the job market. Those are the ratios that are not incorporated in the professional courses at the university. So you find that many women under this economic freedom, they don't know how to tame themselves. Even currently, there are some old women, when you tell her, your son is going to marry somebody who works in the market, she will automatically refuse that option. Like, the wife you're going to marry works in the market? No. Based on what I see with the women in the market, I cannot allow my son to marry such a woman.
Yes.
So we have such sentiments. Why? Because many women are not oriented. So we need to orient ourselves. If you are given a chance to work, if you are given a chance to execute your job, it doesn't mean that you get spoiled. No, you are given a chance to stand as a member of parliament, as a politician. It doesn't mean that now you are let out to play, to enjoy with every politician you find around. So those are some of the orientations we need to give to our women. But men must know that some of the causes, actually, most of the causes, they have a part to answer. Women also have a part to answer. What is the reward for the faithful women? I need my panelists. What have you rewarded your faithful woman? That is also another question to very many women.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been faithful. What I'm rewarded is extramaritals everywhere. So why remain faithful?
Are you?
So our men also have to look out for rewards. We have very many women who tell you the stories that my grandmother was very faithful. What did she get from that marriage? My mother was very faithful. What did she get? Now, why should I be faithful? So we find these questions among women. So we need to understand the social perspectives. There are very many reasons. Some of the reasons I'm giving are not the conclusive ones, are not the only ones.
Yes.
But those are some of the reasons I've also been gathering from our women. Those are the ones. And then, so in marriage, we must observe the vows in good and bad.
And bad.
In what? In wealth?
In wealth and in poverty.
What happens when poverty comes in? What happens when ill health comes in? So we need always, there must not be a vacuum. Some people tend to think, even some people refer some tribes, women who belong to certain tribes, you go for that one. That one can even leave her there for a year and come back and find her. She will remain there. Especially the Sabines. They say, you just get a Sabine. That's what, you will get lost for 2 years, you will find her. I'm telling you, those perceptions, thinking that women will always think the same way, has stopped. What happens if the Sabine now gives up? But it is very important. I think, any time from now, I foresee a private members bill coming.
Okay.
Because we need a regulation on this. We need a regulation on this. But we need to prepare our communities, our people, our public. Please get to know that the science has come up. The interest to do it has come up. The other day we saw staff of the Internal Affairs Ministry, Immigration, trying to cancel our men. Men who are like these kids whose passports are showing that we are their fathers. Are not our kids. So we need you to withdraw that we are the fathers. So I wanted also to ask, which fathers do they want these kids to go to? So even documents are going to change. You see, you may be happy with the passport you have now.
Yes.
Are you sure the father is the real one? You may not be sure. So the documents are going to change the moment there is proof that this was not your father, and yet in your submissions, even the IDs are going to change.
They are going to change.
Now, in Chiboga, there are some people are denied passports. When you identify that you're Mnyarwanda, you are not given a passport. So what is going to happen? Now that you are not given, denied a passport, you are going to change the father, probably you'll get the passport. So the documents are going to change, but the morals and the mutual respect may reduce.
Yeah.
So we are preparing our public and
For the
women
bad
out
news.
there. If you know you have somewhat
Children
Baggage.
a baggage, actually it is baggage.
Some baggage from
yeah,
outside.
that baggage are just a scam
Yes.
to offload from you. You have been holding it for some years. You are there with your baggage. You have not communicated anything. Please, it is high time you put the issue on the table, and we also advise the husbands don't go secretly, because we want to prove that this is our kid, the two of us. Take us together. Let me get ashamed in front of that doctor. Go with the wife, because actually that is when we shall even be sure that you have not what? You have not
compromised
corrupted. Because even when somebody is sure of the kids, we see a reduction in the responsibilities of the men in Uganda, especially at household level. So what are you saying? If you are sure these are your kids and you have been getting lost, what will happen when you are sure they are not? They are no longer your kids.
Yes.
Or out of the 6 you have 1. What will happen to the 1? What will happen to the 6?
The 5.
So this other business of we have had this vice for a long period of time will not stand. The economic situation, the school fees. Somebody said testing for DNA is cheaper than the school fees.
Very true.
Look at what you have to do in order to raise this kid. It is very expensive.
Yeah.
With their regime that has put us, I don't know where. You cannot afford to stay with this kid.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable.
Mr. Derek,
I want to just give. Just want to read a few comments from our viewers. Mr. Saul Jims says, "Hello, friends. I am Dr. Saul Jims, listening from Toronto in Canada. It's true. Anyone would like to feel comfortable with kids he or she is having, but to me, I think DNA issues shouldn't be rushed for simply because it may be hard on all of you." I think they are talking. He is talking about the more about psychology and the psychology point of view, and I know that Evelyn is in the house. She's going to help us demystify some of these matters. Another Mohoz's boy, that's what he calls himself, says, why are most ladies worried of DNA? Somebody married with a ring and busy sleeping with men. DNA is a way to go. I better marry somebody with kids than somebody producing them from my home. That is what he is saying, and many other comments coming through. And I just would like to tell before I bring in Matua for that second, I just want to tell people that the whole thing about DNA, I feel is important economically, socially, but also for the love of the children. But I know that it affects both parties, but most importantly is the fact that, like Honorable put it, men have been having extramarital affairs, and it has been okay.
Let's say both men and women have been having extra marital affairs.
But now it seems that men have also learned that as I'm going out for an extramarital affair, my wife is also going out. So it is just good that I understand this issue and put it on table that these children are actually mine. And for me, that story about 60 children taken 60 children taken for DNA and only 2 test positive was so heartbreaking.
That
And,
was the time you accorded the woman.
you know, and for me, it's very worrying. Matua, 1 second, I want to bring in the counselor.
Yeah, what I wanted to put forward is that Madam Councillor and the Honourable Member of Parliament, actually it is a government laboratory that does the DNA test. Government analytical laboratory. It is in Wandagea here.
Yes.
So, about the validity, authenticity, it is very easy to determine it, because it is the government laboratory that is responsible for the DNA test. So I agree with the Madam Councillor that what we need is a policy. If we realize this has become a very serious issue, a social issue, then we should come up with a law and maybe make it mandatory at delivery.
I want to bring in
get the
counselor
samples
there.
and the NHR delivered, so they have even the DNA provision indicated on the discharge form. It is not a difficult thing. Thank you.
If Evelyn, you have interacted with some of these cases, I
Yes.
know, and you have been to very many families that are battling some of these matters.
Yes.
And I just want to hear from you that we are encouraging people to go for DNA, but how prepared are they to go for them? And what are the psychologists of the country trying to help these families? Does it need for us to open up this studio to be just churning out information and trying to help women? What do you think needs to be done?
I think when things are done, are aligned, like Honorable said, we have a policy. We are not saying that the government should be put to task of making sure every health center, that might be very expensive. But the regulation, because yes, this is a government entity doing this, but then why are the results publicized? I think there should be some confidentiality. This is a family matter. Why are we having a whole TV coming up and saying, you see, now I'm going to declare the results. They are here, then people fight. Are we really getting, why we are inciting violence? And then even the guys who are just watching these shows, as guys are fighting, he also begins suspecting, I might be here when I also have a problem.
At
Let me also, so it's like it's becoming one fire from one home to another. Yes, DNA has advantages, like I said. There are children who have been denied by their fathers. And someone says, me, this is not my child. DNA will be very helpful in such a sense. There are children who might, their families, the people we handle. By the time you find such issues in the family, either there's been a lot of gap in the marriage, whereby people have long distance marriages. Someone is working in Somalia, comes back after 2 years or 1 year. There is that lag, of course, that can affect. That one is a personal problem, how the family will decide to live, because marriages are supposed to be together, generally speaking.
Yes.
So then things like barrenness. Sometimes men have their, should I say, an ego, whereby when there's no child for the first year, the second year, the third, fifth, the man will not want to be associated with such problems. You realize it's the women who come and then say, I don't know why I'm not getting pregnant. And then some of them will go to wrong advisors and then they say, no, you can get a child, you see. Meanwhile, the man is quiet, but they have been there, they do not have a child for 6 years, 7 years, and maybe he's not involved at all. Then somehow a child reappears and the man is so happy, especially when they have got a child. Then after so many years is when the man begins suspecting, because for me who has worked with clients, the guy will keep quiet, the woman has been saying, you know, honey, we are taking some medication to get a child and so on, while she's planning, because for her, most women just want to keep the marriage. That is the first thing. They know, now if I don't have a child for this man, the marriage is going away. But meanwhile, the man is not involved in looking for a child. He's there sleeping, happy. My wife gave birth. But if you've been 7 years, you've spent 7 years without having a child, why don't you be involved and say, who has the problem? Could be the man is the one who is having a problem. So then after some 10 years, the child has grown, the child is about 12 years, that's when the guy begins saying, I see some features which are not mine. We don't have these diseases in our family. Why is the child having a sickle or something? This is not, you see? But all along, there has not been. So there should be improvement of communication in families. Let people talk about why we don't have a child. Let's go and test both of us, who has the problem. So that there are many ways that families can get children than having a child who is not for someone. Then afterwards, it's going to bring a lot of hassle. This child, what are you going to tell them? So the government should regulate. Yes, this is a government agency. But still, why are results being publicized? Why should me, Evelyn, know that you, Derek, you have 10 children and only one is yours? Well, how is it benefiting me? But if it's a confidential test, they cancel after you do the pre-counseling before you go for the test, so that you're exposed to the likelihood of the stressors, what might happen after, then the after, before they break the results. I saw there was a clip, I don't know how people do these clips, a video clip on WhatsApp, and it was going viral. A guy was sitting and then we're telling each other, hey, let's check, pointing at each other fingers, let's see. Then when they opened the results, they started fighting. Honestly, should we do it like that? How are we going to manage? Let's do it in an organized way.
Very, very good points from Evelyn. We are joined by Carlton Scovia Nakamia, who was coming from a very, very far district. And by the way, I want to categorically thank Evelyn because she was coming from West Nile.
Yeah, he was in Amolates.
And Amolatar.
Amolates is in Lango sub-region.
Yes, Lango sub-region. And she was coming from Amolatar, and she had to drive all the way to come and attend this show, and that's why she came in a little bit late. And Carlton Scovia Nakamia from BBS Telefaina. Inimengo here. No, but she had gone to do a show somewhere. And she was telling me she was coming from very far. Thank you for coming, but thank you for also joining us online. And your views have been reacted on. I hope you have been following, and you will need to counter-react to them. And I'm going to give you the microphone to you right now and say the problem seems to be a win-win situation. And there's a very big reason as to why my panel today is made of women, more women than men. Because this issue has been in the public, and everyone who sees the results is going to rush to blame the women. And I just wanted to provide a platform for some women who can have their voice put out there to defend themselves. I'm glad it's not defending ourselves here, but it's educating ourselves on how better it can be done. Carlton, you talked about your cultural background, how you used to discover the paternity of the child and your clan and things like that, and things have since changed, and your very fundamental question was, who is gaining from this? And probably there is no one gaining from it. Probably there is certainly people taking advantage to gain from the situation. But who is to blame? Where should the blame be? And how can this situation be handled, especially from the way we are reporting and from the way people are reacting? How can it be? So you have two questions of who is to blame, but how can the situation be handled from publicity and all that perspective?
Thank you, Derek. I think from the submissions the Honorable Mr. Kwa and Councillor have raised, apparently you cannot point fingers and say this person is entirely to blame. You can't. You can't. Because it's a case-by-case basis. The absentee father, the woman who accepts to marry the absentee husband. I mean, if we focus on who is to blame, then we are not solving the problem. But I want to agree with the councillor that this issue needs regulation because we are damaging a certain life somewhere. When I was conducting the online campaign on End Suicide UG, somebody sent me a message and said, I discovered my father at the age of 17. He has been contemplating suicide over and over again. He was simply thanking me for bringing up the campaign and said it has given him life, because living in a situation where he cannot identify his father, the mother just told her, I thought this is your father, so I don't know who it is. He is looking for his father. I'll not blame the woman, I'll not blame the husband, but I'm looking at this 17-year-old contemplating suicide. What do we lose as a country if that person commits suicide? That's what matters most, I think.
So the Ministry of Health, even without a bill or a law, the Ministry of Health can issue instruments that guide this process. They have mandate to do that.
Yeah, regulations.
Yes, they can issue regulations, gazette them to guide the DNA process. I do not castigate any man for seeking to know if this child is his or not. For heaven's sake, every child has a right to belong to the right parent.
Yes.
We do not have to deny these children the right to know who their fathers are. So, but how do you do it? Why do you have to gather the whole clan to say, I'm taking this kid for DNA? You sneak out of the house, you steal a kid from the school, you take the child to the DNA, you're traumatizing that brain. You're damaging that brain. But also, some women cannot consent to taking the children for DNA. Why? Why do you do that? So
You are not sure.
it is a social and moral problem. It is a social and moral problem. We cannot blame anyone. But also it comes with the morality of, individual morality. All of us ladies in this room, if I might ask why you take contraceptives, there is a reason you take contraceptives.
Yes.
She has a reason, I have a reason, she has, everybody has. Because you're avoiding certain circumstances. As a woman, you have a duty to avoid certain circumstances. Only women can solve this crisis.
Yes.
If we use our brains right. If you know you have an absentee husband, if you know you have a poor man, but somebody has some kamani out there, is supporting the family, use your brain. Use your brain.
There's a good Samaritan out there.
Yes. Somebody is helping the family. Use your brain. But also I want to encourage men. Once you identify that this child is not yours, there is a better way to solve this crisis.
That is true.
There is a better way.
I think, which is when the services of Evelyn's and the other counselors are very, very
Come in,
fundamental,
yes.
come in handy.
Yes. Because if you withdraw out of the blue, some men have a very deep connection with the children at home.
Yes.
Some children don't like their mothers. So how do you suddenly break that bond? Can we do everything in the interest of the child? This child, the future generation, the future Derek Wandera, the
Economy.
future Honorable.
Economy.
The economic crisis
Yes.
cannot end now. The economic crisis cannot end now.
Yeah.
Just like you find somebody on the street,
Mm.
you give them a 10K or a 5K, can't you be a good Samaritan to this child? As you go through the phase of transferring responsibility, there is a better way to do it than
That's
these alarming,
That's true.
yeah.
Just because it's a matter of the heart, and I don't think many people who use their hearts to make decisions do make right decisions.
Yeah.
You know, it comes with this person has been with me for I don't know how many years, and then they have been lying to me that this is my child. Now I've discovered this is my child. I also want to actually understand men with whichever reaction they come, because they are dealing with a matter of the heart.
Yes.
And that's why I saw Simon Munde saying, if you are not strong enough as a man, if you have such a small heart, do not go to internal affairs to try to find out whether that child is yours. But if you have a strong heart, then go, because some people can end up committing suicide there.
Yeah.
Some people can end up maybe like strangling these kids or even cutting them to pieces. Or they can go back home and then cut off the woman's head and something like that. I think, again, I want to understand men for their reactions, but I also want to understand women for the fact that they have not been very faithful. I want to understand them.
Why
Because
they have not been
why they have not been very faithful, because at least men have been so unfaithful for a very long time.
You don't change.
And I want to give my panelists each a minute to give us parting shots And thank you very much. You've been a very, very good panel. And there are very many messages still online that I'm going to take just a minute to read before I close. But I first want to give each of my panelists a minute to just give us the parting shots. I want to begin with Carlton. What do you think is the way forward? How do we get away from here?
I want to regard this a crisis, and I want to encourage all of us in the media to play our roles in the way you report a political story is not the way you report a science story.
No.
This is a science crisis. We have to be extra careful when reporting about this. The media can break or build. Let us choose to build, because families are going to break. You never know if is it your father, first of all. But just like we cannot take all our fathers for DNA testing to confirm paternity, let us be very careful when handling these DNA stories. We should serve in the best interest of the child, but also we should also call on the regulators, Parliament, the Ministry of Health, to urgently handle this crisis.
Yes.
They need to urgently handle this matter.
Honorable, there is a call.
And lastly, when we report about these issues, like I said, we should avoid blaming. You cannot solve a crisis by blaming. We cannot start to call on the public to start castigating women for being unfaithful. She has a reason.
Yeah.
So let us portray these stories in the most scientific and morally upright way to avoid breaking families, to avoid stigma. You know, if a village knows that at Mutua's home, one of the child is not his, how will that woman socially associate with the people? So let us handle this scientific evidence with a lot of care, a lot of maturity.
Honorable, there is a call for an urgent handling of this matter. Just your parting shots as you probably look into, maybe you're the one even going to bring the bill.
Thank you for the comments, and I believe that on Tuesday, we as the alternative government, we are going to decide, make a decision on how to approach this saga of the DNA. And we have our shadow minister, Dr. Batua. I know we lead, but we shall also be in support with the decisions that we shall have made.
Yes.
But I am calling on our marrieds. Men have always brought a number of children in homes. We have, or even women, we have all brought children and relatives in our homes, and we have been fulfilling a lot of costs relating to them. And so let's take the same lessons to the children that don't belong to either you or me, because they are children, and then we shall have to adjust. Expect the unknown to be either negative or positive when you are going for this test.
Yes.
Don't always think that everything may be positive or negative, and just expect anything and act maturely. Like when any man went out and did extramarital, got a child, is quiet, and probably the housewife is not aware. This is the same way we should treat this. Why should you have to go to the media to show that out of the 60 I have 2? So how will the media help you? It is not going to help you. So some of these issues and the results should be handled with care and not shared in public, because they have certain implications. They have implications to the children who are not concerned about your adultery. I beg to submit, and I wish you the best weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable. You raise very, very fundamental issues, and I'm happy that this is something that's going to be jumped on by the alternative government. That's the opposition in Parliament, which is led by the leader of opposition, the Honorable Matthias Impuga.
We are the option,
The option,
not the opposition.
not the opposition.
Yes.
Matua,
Yes.
your government, your optional government is actually saying that you people have made it very hard for the women because of the economic crisis that we are facing right now and all that. I want you to give us your parting shots.
Yeah, before I give my parting thoughts, I want to remind the Honorable Minister and Honorable Member, actually Shadow Minister for Environment.
Yes.
Yes. Madam, you see, this issue of adultery or infidelity, this back before the NRM came in power. In fact, it was even worse in those days. That is my parting thoughts are in 4 statements. 1, men don't cheat with themselves. Maybe in this new era of ABC Yaga, men cheat with women. Let us be very objective. Let us be very objective. You get me?
Yes.
No, it's don't say
Yes. The
we
woman,
rape them.
the woman had not
The
produced.
women rape them.
So the woman had not produced the child with a fellow woman.
Eh,
The child had been produced with another man.
man.
So going forward, what do we do? Maybe those with the visiting husband or absentee husband, if they want to find these services, they better undertake protection. That's one thing. Yes, because these are now realities. We have husband who in UAE, in UK, he just come to visit the wife. So maybe for when that woman needs these other services, for biological reason, she should undertake protection. But, Madam Council, this could be one of the options going forward. You know me, I have a scientific background. That's 1. 2, now that we are in this crisis, which my sister Scovia has mentioned, what do we do? This should be the conversation the media should lead. How do we get out of this crisis? How do we solve this crisis? Actually, this should be the question you should pose. The cause, and then how do we get out of it? So the media is very, very important here. Otherwise, if you choose to tell the story to incite the public, I can tell you you will cause more problem. So now we're in this crisis. How do we get out of it? This conversation must start. 3, the councillors, the community leaders, and any leader in your various capacity must pick up this issue and begin a conversation with the people on it. Because now it is a reality. Otherwise, if we delay, then we will come to intervene when there is already total breakage of family, and it will be too late to intervene. Right now, people must be, the talking must start. The counseling must actually start. Yes. Yes. So actually, the Department of Gender, the councillors can directly engage. The Department of Gender.
She's already doing it even today.
Yes.
She's doing it right now.
Yes. The department, thank you very much for coming here. They should engage the Department of Gender, which can then engage the Ministry of Health. So we must really begin to educate the public on how to do this thing positively. But I can tell you, people are not going to stop going for DNA test because people want to know. Am I really putting my money where it's supposed to be?
Put your money where you see.
Yes.
Yes.
Men are sleeping on the border. You are sleeping on the border at night working. A good neighbor is doing the services at home. Yes. So somebody will want to know, really, this money I'm making from this night, cold night, I'm really spending it in the right area. Lastly, I think the totality of this is that we are living in an immoral society. The totality of it.
You have declared.
Let us accept ourselves. The reality. Are you?
Yes.
This excessive permissiveness. Actually, Daily Monitor did a research in Wakiso to find out the sexual pattern of married women. Majority of women said they had 70 sexual partners, married one.
Yes.
So what does that tell you? So the totality of it, that we are living in a moral society. So we have to rediscover ourselves and change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Your parting shots, the councillor.
Yes, I think I'll not be very different from what they have said. All we want to say is that it's good that now this talk has started. Let us go educate the people. Let people know it is possible. When HIV came, they were saying practice ABC, abstain, use condoms and what. But have we stopped having HIV? We still have HIV because we cannot control people's behaviors. People's behaviors come from where they were raised,
Yes.
the environments, what they have seen. We cannot control 40 million people's behavior. But when people are informed, they make right decisions. That woman out there who has been having a child and is quiet, maybe after listening to this, she'll come up and say, you know what? I don't want my child. Because think about your child. The child is going to be broken. I know of a woman who woke up, for us we get the stories, who woke up when the guy was going to graduate. And women, especially African women, they can be haunted till death. They will not keep quiet. They will still tell who the father is, even on their deathbeds. So much as the DNA has been there, women have been coming up and saying, this is not your child, especially if they have a row with a man. This guy was graduating and the mother comes up and says, now you see, they've grown up only two boys. They have bonded with their father. He has educated him and he has finished university. And he said, I'm sorry to tell you, but this is not your father. And the guy said, it's okay. To hell with who my father is. I never want to know him. I don't want to know me. I know this is my father. Imagine the bonding, the emotional attachment. How are you going to pay for all that? So for any woman out there, a young woman, an older woman, you have a child and because of course a woman can know. It's better you use all methods, go to a counselor. I have this issue, help me to break the information. I fear my husband, he will kill me. Than waiting for this young person to make a teenager, like you say. Teenagers cannot handle such emotions. Because identity crisis is real for teenager. So I don't belong, we all want to belong. So let us solve these things before they go out of hand. And more so, the confidentiality. This is a family issue. Why is it going to be publicized? If people have been got, yes, in their family they have 4 children and 3 are not for the man. Why is it being put in the newspapers for everyone? How is this man going to go back to work with his fellows who will be looking at him that, hey, all along we thought that you were man enough, but you've only fathered one. You understand? So let us protect the child protection and also protect people from further mental health breakdowns. Yes.
Thank you very much, my panel. There's always a saying that I believe in, that women have always been stronger than men. And because of such times, it's when you see that a woman has actually been very strong, because they keep so many things to themselves and keep so many things. But the moment a man realizes, they will always want to fight back. Because for us, we are naturally not very strong like women are. It's been very nice being with you people. The Honorable Christine Nachimwero Kaya, you have been very receptive to my calls. My friend Carlton Scovia Nakamia, you have been very, very good panelist today. The counselor, you have given us that professional feel in the show, and it is very, very helpful. And I know with all the drops of messages that are coming through and comments, I know many people are going to reach out to you for any kind of assistance. And my brother, Richard Job Matua, your energy and your expertise from the biological point of view has been very, very felt in this show. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had a very, very, very big panel today and very big team that has been working behind cameras. My camera person has been very busy throughout. Mr. Liam Lubuama. My producer Christopher Pendi, my social media watch, that is Pakroth Rachel, and she's being flanked by Mr. Muzafalu, who has been also very, very fundamental, and Mariam has also joined the team, and the team is very, very big here. You people have been very wonderful in producing this show, and I can't thank you enough. For today, I want to end here. Until next time, same panel. We shall have even a bigger and better conversation next week, same time. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. From me, Derek Wandera, I sign out.